Hey everybody, it's just me for the moment here, and we have a very special guest, Scott Reeder, a legendary bassist from Kyuss and the Obsessed, and pretty much everything. Hey Scott, how you doing?
Cheers, thanks for having me, man.
Hey man, I can't thank you enough. This is our first interview. Why don't we start with what you did recently? The most recent thing.
The Sail Club.
Yeah, the Sun and Sail Club. You know, I just listened to that the first time earlier today, and it blew my mind.
Right on.
And I have a question that is, do you think the world was ready for a band with two Scott Reeders?
I don't know if I was ready. We've been joking about it for years, and we finally got to meet that day for the first time. And those guys just came in to record drums and guitars. I didn't know if they were for Fu Manchu demos or what was going on. They ripped through the first song and came in for a playback. And I was like, holy shit. I asked who's playing bass on this thing, and Bob said, I'll probably come back in a month or so and do some more demos. And I was like, well, let me see if I can try to keep up with you guys in this stuff. I'll put some stuff down and see what happens. And
You know, the two things that impressed me the most about it was the interaction between you and the drummer, regardless of names. What was different playing with... You've played with a lot of different drummers, from, Brant to Dave Grohl to Danny Carey to pretty much, like, it's a laundry list of really great names. What's the difference between playing with all those drummers, being the bassist in the band?
just when you play with a great drummer, it really makes you step up your game, I think. Like playing with Danny Carey, I got to do half of a live set with that guy, and played with Tool a couple of times live, and it just makes you play your best when you're playing with somebody of that caliber. I got to do some film soundtrack work with Danny too. What was the name of the film? It was called Mastermind, and he played on the score. And they could tell him, okay, in this one bar, if you could hit an accent on the 13th note or the 16th note, and he would just nail it. And everybody's looking there like, holy shit, this guy's amazing.
Yeah, man.
And, it just brings the whole energy into the whole thing and makes it that much better.
Yeah, man. Danny Carey's something else. That entire band, it's just amazing of what they can do. You are known for being a lefty, but playing in a sort of a non-traditional way. You play with the strings, quote unquote, upside down.
Yeah.
Did you learn that way by accident?
Well, my dad and my grandpa both played guitar. My dad also played banjo and mandolin, and they played right-handed. So I would just flip their stuff over and start off learning simple riffs. Like, I think one of the first riffs I learned was Rock Lobster or something like that, And I think for bass, it makes more sense. I mean, most bass parts, you want to play the lower notes. They're on the E or the A string, and you don't have to reach all the way across the fretboard. It's more of a comfortable position, I think, playing the low note. And there's plenty of crazy techniques that I'll never be able to do playing that way. But there might be weird stuff that I do that somebody else can't replicate. I don't know. It works for me. But I just went to this bass event in Hollywood a couple weekends ago, and I had a couple friends there, like Nick Shingelos from Johnford Calloway. He was showing me this crazy stuff that he does, and I asked him to teach me how to do this. I'm looking at him going, I can't do that, man. Not the way I play.
Yeah, I've noticed that you play a lot of instruments, like on your solo record. You pretty much McCartney'd it. You played everything. Is that more difficult than playing in a band?
You don't have to deal with everybody's egos, and they don't have to deal with mine, I guess. I don't know. It's when I have a song idea, I've got a studio at our ranch, and I can go over there and sketch it out. And I usually have intentions of calling a couple friends and having them come in and play on it. And I can't wait to hear it, so I end up locking myself in there for a couple of days. Come out with pretty much finished product. It might be better if I get my friends, but I guess I'm impatient. I want to hear it now.
Well, that's pretty cool, man. I have a few questions from a few fans. Will Sean McElhenney ask, will Mario and Dino Automobile Down put out their record ever?
Will they put out the record?
Yeah.
Is that the question?
Yeah.
I've been meaning to ask those guys myself. I haven't had a chance to ask them. I don't know what's going on with that. Because that record is killer. I don't know if you've heard any of that stuff.
Actually, I haven't. I meant to, but I spent most of that time listening to the Sun and Sail Club like 3 different times.
Right on. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that stuff. I mean, they nailed the whole album. We had it mixed, never got mastered, and next thing I hear, Dino's playing in Faster Jetson. So I think this thing is temporarily shelved, but it's got to see the light of day one of these days, because it's really good. I mean, Dino was, I want to say 14 when they tracked, and the drummer was around the same age. He might have been a year or two older than he. It's really good stuff.
Mark Vincent Petzeroy asked, why did you write Day One? Were you friends with Nirvana, or was it just something you wrote in response?
Well, it was a song that I wrote earlier. We were at a wedding, and my wife had a conversation with Josh Homme during the wedding, just about the good old days when things were a little less complicated, band-wise, I think. And I wrote that song that night. I just put down a guitar and a couple of vocal harmonies. And we ended up recording that for a B-side. When we went in the studio, we just got the news that Kurt had died. And so there was kind of a heavy vibe hanging over that whole session. I think we recorded, I want to say Hurricane, and maybe El Rodeo, and Day One on that session. And asked the guys if they wanted to dedicate that song to Dave and Chris, the survivors of that, you know. So that's how it came out. It was actually a B-side, I think, for Demon Cleaner, like a CD single in Europe, probably. And then it ended up being the hidden bonus track and being the circus. But yeah, we were friends at that point. I actually talked to Dave the day that Kurt was found, and that was heavy.
Yeah, I possibly can't. I can't even imagine what that would be like. Like me, I was born in '92, so I was a bit too young to remember how it was back then. But like looking back, it's heavy to me, who to someone who didn't experience, you know, any of them at the time. But yeah,
I mean, those guys were at the top of their game, pretty much the biggest band on the planet, and most of it seemed like they were having a great time, joking around in interviews and just having fun with everything. I don't know, it was a harsh way to end that for everybody.
Yeah. Bon Hami from the Fade asks, what does listening to Sky Valley remind you of? What do you think of, and how does it make you feel?
Oh man, great adventures.
Hmm.
And I mean, my first show was the record release party for Blues for the Red Sun. They'd already looked at Nick, so I toured for that album, and that was when we were jamming out a lot of those songs. We worked on Whitewater. You know, we had acoustics on the RV or the van, whatever, and we'd work out that jam stuff at the end of that. And just, we finally got on some pro tours. The first big tour we got on was Danzig, White Zombie, and Kyuss opening, and got to play bigger shows than we'd ever dreamed of. Got to play Irvine Meadows in LA for, I don't know if it was like 15,000 people. And I just think of those happy times leading up to recording that. And I thought everything was cool with everybody. And Brant bailed. As soon as his tracks were done, he was gone. And we were just like, what the fuck are we going to do? And there was a long hiatus. We had asked the label only to put out a couple of songs that, you know, they wanted to put out like a teaser. They had to put the whole thing on the cassette that went out. And by the time we regrouped and got our shit together and had an actual drummer, Alfredo, it seemed like the record had already got out to everybody. There was really no internet back in those days, so it probably didn't spread as much as we thought.
The days of tape trading.
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually on cassette. It's crazy.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, how was the atmosphere? Like, how did it change from playing with Brant to playing with Alfredo?
Well, Alfredo was actually the first drummer that I ever played bass with. We had this band across the river with Mark Lally and this kid Mark Anderson, who was 15 at the time. So I was really, really comfortable with Alfredo. And at that point, we had half of across the river and Kyuss, which was, from what they told me, a big influence on Kyuss. We were really into improv stuff. We used to play on various substances, I guess. I shouldn't say that. We were pretty out there though on some of the live shows. We would go in not planning on playing any songs, just jam. And you know, I tried to bring more and more of that element into Kyuss, and you know, there were some pretty good sections to songs where you really didn't know what was going to happen live. Sometimes it turned out great, sometimes you'd fall flat on your face, but it was always exciting to get to that part where you just really didn't know what was going to happen. I had a good chemistry with Josh, too. We'd throw curveballs at each other in some of these jams. I'd start playing something completely different from what was on the record, and he would look at me like, what the fuck are you doing? And he'd jump off of that, and he might throw something back at me, and what? And there was a good chemistry there.
Yeah, interaction seemed like one of the big things with Kyuss. What was the first song that you guys threw down with Alfredo?
Like in rehearsal?
Well, for like tracking, like recording.
Oh, recording wise? Ooh, man, that's tough. Might have been Hurricane, actually. I think it was in that first batch of stuff. They came out as like B-sides for Demon Cleaner, and then later on they got tacked on to Circus Japan. We figured nobody heard the songs since they were the B-sides in Europe, and that was some of our favorite stuff.
Sean McElhenney asked also, related to Alfredo, has there ever been conversations for Across the River reunion type thing?
There's been a couple of things that have come up. I don't know, just a couple of local gigs, and one guy will be busy, or I'll be busy doing some crap, and it's never happened. But it wouldn't be like the old days. You know, I have reverence for the old days. And I see a lot of bands coming back together because, for whatever reasons, and just not the same. You don't have that same feeling that you had in your youth when you really had nothing to lose. You know, these days everybody has families and being responsible. And there was a punk band I played with in high school, and they wanted to do a couple of shows. I was like, man, those songs, they just don't mean anything these days. I don't think. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like preserving memories.
Yeah.
Good old days, I guess.
I remember seeing a video. I think it might have been Across the River, or it might have been with you and the Obsessed. It was like marked 1985, and I remember like hearing a bunch of interviews with Josh where he would talk about how Mario would have these generator parties where, you know, the band would play on a generator in the middle of the desert, and I thought he was like exaggerating, but that's literally what it looked like. And
yeah, I mean, you just pack up the van with the generator and go anywhere. That's how we practiced a lot. The first guy that brought one out was Dave Travis. He's this videographer guy that documented a lot of the LA punk scene, and he's been putting out the videos. So he brought out his generator the first time, and there was a pretty good gig. It was actually at the site where I took the Kyuss guys later on to do the Green Machine video. There's like this road came up to the edge of a wash, just crumbled off the edge. So the people were down the wash, and then there was like a natural stage on the pavement where the bands could set up, and there was skin to this band. And then after that, Mario actually bought a generator, and you could just take it anywhere. On a Friday night, you know, we had a bunch of people living in the same house. My wife Renee lived with us, and Larry was around, Larry Lolly. And if we felt like jamming, we would just take the generator out somewhere and set up out in the desert. And not necessarily invite a bunch of people, but just party ourselves, take some beers out there, hang out and jam under the stars. It was a lot funner than in a sweaty practice room. You know? And we're close enough to these wide open spaces back then, it was easy to do.
The video that I was watching, it was you like performing some sort of bass solo, and I don't know if someone gave this to you or if it was just offhand. You got a bottle of whiskey and just wrecked the bass with it.
Oh, that was my first bass, actually.
Really?
Yeah. It was a Rickenbacker copy. I think I bought it off of the bass player from Dead Issue from the desert. It was like $100, and that was my bass for a couple of years.
Yeah.
The action on it was horrible. The strings were way off the fretboard. You had to wrestle with that thing to get any notes out of it. And I finally bought a real Rickenbacker, and so this was like this performance art piece about manic depression, and you know the cycles going slow, getting faster and deeper, and then breaking. I was flying that night. It was so intense to me. I was just out of my fucking mind. And
you should.
I going right now just thinking about it.
You should have saw the comment section. Like everybody thought it was an actual Rick. So
no.
Everybody was so upset that you were destroying probably the greatest bass of all time.
Oh man, no, it was a stunt Rick.
Stunt Rick.
Double Rick.
I got a few questions about if there would be a Sun and Sail Club tour.
That remains to be seen. It's going to be hard to pull off with the vocoder stuff. So we would either require another guitar player to cover all the rhythm parts, and then Bob covers the vocals, or we'd get somebody to cover the vocals and have Bob play rhythm guitar. Seems like it would make more sense to have Bob do the vocals. But, yeah, it's going to be kind of tricky. And then there's other issues a microphone inside with like soundproof where the microphone is. I don't know. I hope we can pull it off. There's definitely the want to do it.
You know, it's funny, like, the other day, me and a friend were talking about how hard it is to pull off vocoders in music outside of, like, a George Clinton funk band. And what brought on that conversation was, like, you know how DirecTV has these music channels? One of them was playing, like, for some reason they love to play old 70s funk bands covering Beatles music. And there was this cover from a female-fronted funk band of "She's Leaving Home," and John's vocals were covered with vocoder, and it was probably the most awful thing you'll ever hear. And it was like literally the next day I listened to it to the Sun and Sail Club, and I sent it to a friend, and I was like, you know, this is how you do it.
Right on. Yeah, it's actually clean guitar that's feeding into the vocoder, and it's just filtered by his voice. I mean, I was sitting there while he was doing it, and I took off my headphones, and you could hear these pristine, weird jazz chords coming out of the guitar, but then it's getting filtered through his voice. And I've never heard anything like it. I guess there have been a couple of heavy bands that have done a couple things, but I guess never to this extent. It's driving a lot of people crazy, but I'm hoping they get over it. To me, it's more like an instrumental vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, there could be a keyboard or something playing these weird chord melodies, but to add words to that, I mean, the lyrics are pretty insane. I was pretty high one night listening to the whole record from start to finish while reading the lyrics, and I was tripping out. There's some pretty deep stuff on there, and for me, it makes sense to have this disembodied voice that's kind of reflecting on the earth. I think having the wrong singer would have done a lot of damage, and I think the vocoder suits this stuff perfectly.
Yeah, it's sort of weird because the first time you hear the vocoder, because I didn't read anything on the album beforehand, I just listened to it just cold turkey. And the vocoder was like striking, but I got used to it and I can't think of it any other way.
Yeah. Awesome.
I noticed that you do play a lot of on Rickenbackers and stuff. What influenced you to get one? Like, were you one of those kids that grew up listening to Yes and thinking about being Chris Squire or something?
No, I grew up playing drums, actually. And I was really into the Beatles. The Rickenbacker thing was just by accident. The bass player in my first punk band, well, it started off being Subservice and then became Dead Issue. He had that fake Rickenbacker that I eventually smashed. So when I finally got to buy a new bass, I was used to the Rickenbacker vibe. So naturally, I got a Rickenbacker. I got one that was left-handed from some store in San Diego for $600. And I thought it was in 1983. That was the year that I bought it. Actually, 84, I think I got it. And, no, wait, I'm lying. I got it right before that gig, so it was around 85. Anyway, I took it to the factory to get a replacement screw that fit out, and they kept in the serial number. He said it was 1975. And he was like, dude, Paul McCartney has one of these, you have one of these, and that might be it. I don't know how that could be true. I don't know if their production of Lefties was that limited, but that's what I was told by some guy at the factory. Then I was scared to take it on the road after that. I was beating the hell out of it. I was like putting the neck on the ground and bending it against an amp and just all kinds of fucked up stuff.
Yeah, I noticed, like, when you're playing live, you, like, even when you're not, like, throwing it against the ground and all of that, you beat the hell out of the strings.
Yeah.
How many basses have you wrecked?
How many basses have I wrecked?
Yeah. You made an appearance on the Sound City record. How did that come about, and what was the experience like?
Well, Kyuss recorded 3 albums at Sound City. Unita recorded an album at Sound City, and it was just, he's been a supporter of Kyuss forever. Around 92 when Blues came out, when Nirvana was getting huge. You were born in 92?
Yeah.
Is that right? That's crazy. Yeah, so around the time you were born, Dave Grohl, when he's blowing up, he's going to record stores and buying every copy of Blues for the Red Sun that they have so he could give it out to people that he thought should hear it.
Nice.
And he got it in the hands of Metallica people, press people, talked about us in the press. He's been a godsend to Kyuss from day one. And so, fast forward, 20 years, I'm laying in bed, fast asleep at probably 1:30 in the morning. My phone chirps. I'm like, God damn it, who's texting me at this hour? I look at my phone, it's Dave Grohl. He told me that he bought that console, making a film about it. Do I want to play on the soundtrack? I wrote back, fuck yes. And the next morning, he'd already sent me a demo for the song. And I got to fiddle around with it for maybe a week before I went into the studio. And that was the last piece on there. He had Tori come in, do vocals, and he had Rick come in, do guitar solo, and some other stuff. And then I did my bass part, tried to make it... I didn't want to just follow what he did. I tried to spice it up a little bit, make it a little orchestral almost. Added a little nod to Zeppelin with the string bends, a little nod to Cheap Trick with playing octaves because Tom plays a 12-string bass. There's even a little Mary Poppins melody in there, if you can find that. It was a fucking blast. High pressure though, man. Cameras in your face, Butch Vig sitting next to you, Dave Grohl breathing down your neck. It was a good pressure, though, man. It was such a rush working on that thing, and then waiting for months to hear the final product. Finally got to hear it. Oh, man, I'm so happy. It came out really good.
How much
Once again, Dave is the savior of the day, you know? 20 years later. Crazy.
Everybody's a fan of Dave Grohl. How much in advance was the soundtrack recorded in before the documentary was?
It was all done at the same time. I mean, as people were going into Dave's studio to play, he was doing the interviews. And there was a lot of stock footage that was being gathered up. I had somebody from the film company contacted me about contributing photos from the Kyuss days. There's a few of my pictures that popped up in the movie. But yeah, it was all probably around January, February from 2012. And then the film came out about a year later.
Was that the first time you played with Dave?
Yeah, unfortunately I didn't get to play with him in the room. I was just an overdub. I was hoping I'd get to play the song live with those guys at some point, but it just didn't happen. So I've still not played in the same room at the same time with Dave, but we'll see what happens. One of these days, you know.
Hopefully, that'd be a pretty kick-ass, man.
Yeah, he's my favorite drummer.
Another question. Any chance you'll jam with Wino again?
You never know. I wouldn't mind at all. Awesome guitar player. God, it's been a long time. Last time we played was a rehearsal probably
question same along the lines of but with Josh Homme.
I'd do it in a heartbeat.
It,
I don't know if he's still doing desert session stuff, but
yeah, he's sort of promised that he'll record one, but that's pretty much been every interview since 2007.
yeah. We'll see. You know, if he ever calls me out for something, I'd do it in a heartbeat. You know,
What's the weirdest?
Me and Wino did do something. I just remembered. Produced a record by 60 Watt Shaman. Oh man, I don't know what year it was. It had to be at least 10, 12 years ago. And on the last day in the studio, we had Wino come in. We had 60 Watt. We had the drummer set up in the middle of the room. The guitar player and bass player off to one side, and me and Wino off to one side, and the singer in the middle. And we just did this jam for like 10 or 15 minutes. And everybody's like trading licks. You know, it's your turn, your turn, your turn. And it was fun. It was really fun. So yeah, we did get to play, but something like that'll happen again.
Yeah, some of these stories you're telling, like, I'm just imagining myself as a fly in that room. Probably the highest fly of all time of just pure adrenaline. Mr. Ant from the Fade asks, what's the weirdest instrument you've ever played?
One instrument I will never become good at is the sitar. I haven't seen a lefty sitar. It's strung backwards. That would be a tall order, you know. I think I've seen one lefty online, but it's strung backwards for me, so I'm screwed. I guess I would just have to adapt my the way I play.
The sitar is kind of weird because it's like,
yeah, I've kind of given up on that dream.
yeah. Apparently, you have to be born to play the sitar because I remember watching this documentary on like the Beatles Rock Band game that came out like in 2009, and Danny Harrison, the son of George Harrison, was doing motion capture for George, and they asked him to sit down and play the sitar, and he said he'd never played it before, but actually did really good at it. So it just seems like if you're not good at it the first time you do it, like, find something else. Do you have any favorite pedals at the moment? Like effects and all that?
I've been using Pigtronics. I've got an envelope phaser by them. And what's it called? Distortion is the distortion pedal that has like an octave divider built in and overdrive and fuzz built in. It's like three pedals in one. There's another one that a friend built me, the guy that owns Solid Cables, and I want to say the name of the pedal company is Hovercraft. I'm kicking myself for not remembering the name. I think it's Hovercraft, and he built me this first distortion pedal. I've got serial number 1 on that. And that thing sounds great. I've been using that a bit.
Well, thanks, man, for joining us. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I wanted to ask you one last question. When you were in Kyuss, you had the opportunity to open up for a few bands like Metallica and White Zombie, and didn't you open up for Soundgarden?
Yeah, we toured Europe together. It was a festival tour. Who else was on that trip? Sponge, Reef, White Zombie was on part of it. And, oh man, those were our last shows, actually. The last show that Kyuss played was Soundgarden at some crazy festival in Italy. It was like a communist festival. There were all kinds of Soundgarden and seeing Ben Shepherd at the end of their show doing like a Hitler salute and stepping on the stage and being pelted with rocks, and Josh running out on stage and DA in the crowd, and watching Soundgarden being whisked away in an armored vehicle. And that was the end of my touring career with Kyuss.
This is Ben Shepherd being Ben Shepherd.
Really good times.
Any other crazy stories you got that isn't incriminating, obviously?
I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
I said, any other crazy stories you've got that aren't incriminating?
I don't know. I think one of my favorites, I mean, the Metallica tour in Australia was mind-blowing, just the scale of it. That was like the biggest real tour that we went on. My favorite tour, I think, was going out with Ween. We kind of had our own following, they kind of had their own following, and we played first, and a lot of our crowd would leave, and their crowd would come in, so the clubs were doing really good business with those two bands, and just some crazy, crazy nights. Those guys smashed all the gear. We pull out our fog machine. There was one night in Vegas that was just insane. They called the crowd up on the stage. Me and Hutch are out there with, I'm pulling cables around, and he's shooting the fog machine all over the stage. And I'm out there with duct taping Abby Travis to the stage while she's playing bass. It's like Roadie from Hell, just putting duct tape on everything. We were all pretty out there that night. It was awesome. That was one of my favorite tour memories.
Alright, man. Well, thanks a lot for being our first guest on the show, man.
Right on. I hope the connection was good. It's breaking up a little bit right now. I have to drive up onto this back section of our property. The reception is really bad out here.
Oh, I hear you clearly, man. Alright, well,
Now we're breaking up. I can barely hear you.
Well, I can hear you, so, how about we, end it here? Thanks a lot, Scott Reeder, for, being on the show.
Okay, I can't hear what you're saying, but thanks a lot.
Alright, so, thank you for sticking through the Scott Reeder interview. To painfully listen to us three just talk random shit because we don't know what we're going to talk about now.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm just here.
Really cool.
I'm just here.
Now, earlier, I did the interview section alone, so right now we have Shane. Hi, Shane.
Hi.
All right, fuck you, Shane. And we have Paul.
Hello. So, hi.
And Paul, you're fired because you don't like Fruity Pebbles.
Dude, look, I already told you. I mean, you can't fire me if I quit. And if I have to if Fruity Pebbles are forced upon me, 1, I'll report you to some authority, and 2, I will gladly depart. Like, I guess you can put fruit in milk, but not fake fruit. Fuck that.
I don't know if Shane's laughing at...
No, I'm laughing at this because
he's...
it's a real argument. This is a real legit argument right now that you're having.
Why, like... I'm sorry, guys. This is really unprofessional, but I'm watching wrestling at the same time, and Michael Strahan just put on a goat's mask.
Fuck yeah.
That's goat's mask are metal.
They are.
Masks.
They are very metal.
They are. They're indeed metal. Goats are metal. Goats are metal.
Goats are actually really fucking metal. You're
They
right.
are. Goats are really fucking metal.
You know what's even more metal than goats?
I don't. Holy shit.
Lambs.
What's that? Really?
Or more specifically, their blood.
Kind of, sort of. I mean, they're like in the same realm as goats. I feel like the goats chilling in the lamb's blood. Like just chewing some fucking grass in lamb's blood.
All right, so yeah, we had Scott Reeder on. I'm a huge fan of his. We're all huge fans of his because you know what? He's Scott fucking Reeder. And you know he's had a very long career. Um, it kind of put it in perspective to me. It's like in the middle of that interview, like I made it a point to say that I was born in 1992, and then he was talking about living through something, and he was like, "Wait, 92?" And I was like, "Yep." And he was like, "Okay, so when you were born, we were doing this." And I'm just like, "Oh man, I feel so young and inadequate to do this interview now."
You did really good though. I
Right,
must say,
that's
like, yeah.
that makes it even better.
Yes,
I mean, I was 2, so I mean.
yes,
you know,
guys, stroke my ego right there.
you very effectively enhanced your voice, and it I was taken aback. I was taken aback.
All right, so the show moves on for another 30 minutes, I guess. We don't.
We're excited to do this.
No, I'm very excited. I just don't know what the fuck to talk about because you know what? We usually have themes. Right now, it's the interview episode.
Word.
So right now, I guess we're gonna talk about more Scott Reeder. No. Well, I just do have to say because Shane also listened to the Sun and Sail Club. Why don't you?
I did.
Y'all can go riff over that.
Why don't you say what you thought of it? Like, say what you said to me earlier.
I said that it felt like Frampton Comes Alive mixed with Deathlock, and I was like, "Yo, this sounds really fucking good." It was like I've never seen two things mesh together really well like that, but that really fucking worked, dude. I was just sitting like, huh?
I talked about in the middle of the interview about how like vocoder is rarely done well, even like even in like George Clinton shit.
Yeah.
It's like the only song that I can remember where vocoder was done well is like California. But to hear it in sort of a stoner rock setting, desert rock. I don't like saying stoner rock.
No.
Desert rock.
I like saying stoner rock a lot.
But
Stoner.
like hearing it in that sort of setting, it doesn't sound as off as you'd think. And you know, I read in a little article where it was like, you know, if Queens of the Stone Age circa 2007 called themselves robot rock, well, this is just full on Terminator. And I'm like, yeah, that's totally it, man. And you know what? It still blows my mind that there's two Scott Reeders in the same genre of music that's as close to each other as there is. And, you know, one's a really kick-ass drummer and the other is a really kick-ass bassist.
That's amazing. And that your interview was pretty good. Like I don't even know how you got him, but respect. I'm just giving him so much respect right now.
True, word.
Facebook.
That's crazy. The internet, word.
The power.
Modern telecommunications.
Right.
You just said that like it was in the middle of a Twilight Zone episode. They should do Twilight Zone episodes where it's like social media gets haunted.
I think they tried to reboot Twilight Zone and it just fell on its ass. Like it was like new generation and it was just terrible shit.
That's what happens with new generation everything except
yeah.
Exactly.
You're right.
Doctor Who, because there's been like 17 new generations.
And I'm not that big of a fan of Doctor Who. Oh, sorry.
Neither.
I've never. I know of it very peripherally. I vaguely get Time Lord jokes. Like
yeah.
I mean,
Daleks are funny. Whatever.
Something about fucking phone booths. That's all I know about it.
Phone booths, companions, and it never fucking ends. That's what you.
It never ends.
I mean, he's a Time Lord. Like, you know, that kind of makes sense.
You know what? No. Doctor Who is the Exodus of sci-fi.
Yeah.
It never ends.
It never ends.
Dun, dun.
There's been like 200 people in Exodus. There's been 200 Doctor Who's.
Or 11. 200 or 11, either or. One number.
What are numbers, guys? So most of the fan questions that we got were for Scott Reeder. So I'm gonna throw out my own question here. Music industry, hate it or love it?
To us?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Despise. Well, I mean, no, I don't need to go like militant on it, I guess. But I mean, they pour out, commercialized pulp that varies from, the deepest depths of shit to, and then occasionally, good things rise above that. Yeah, I remember someone that's very popular, but who I like a lot, like Janelle Monáe. I know that's super fucking off topic and not like metal, but I mean, actually, to make that example, fucking Slipknot. Like, people want to rage and call them trash, blah blah blah. They're just making noise. It's a gimmick, whatever the fuck.
You know what? Hold on. The song that Scott Reeder is on the Sound City Reel to Reel soundtrack has Corey Taylor doing vocals.
Damn.
Yeah, he's a dope metal vocalist. I enjoy it.
It's Dave Grohl on drums, Rick Nielsen from fucking Cheap Trick,
Damn.
and Corey Taylor on vocals, Scott Reeder on bass, and it's actually a really good song.
Wow.
I mean, actually, that's a really good example. I know Corey Taylor has worked with Max Cavalera. I've seen his name pop up some other places too. So like, despite all the shit talking and all the blah blah bullshit, there are some musicians who respect this man, obviously enough to because they make music with him. You know what I'm saying? And so anyway, back to your original question. So I definitely think there's a pretty an accurately broad stroke against commercial music as so much trash and whatnot. But good things. It's not impossible for good things to come out of it. Good things do come out. Some things are popular because they're actually good. But I definitely think the progress, the core, and what I hope would become more relevant in the overall social consciousness about music would be not the underground, so to say, because I think that's kind of an opposite unnecessary extreme, but music for the sake of I'm a human being who likes making this fucking noise, either by myself or with these people, and I'm sharing this noise with these other human beings, not so much, and of course people need jobs, blah, 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 but not fucking Miley Cyrus and fucking, the worst of it, and in between. So, yeah.
I mean, I think the music industry, it's sort of passing by rock music, which is
appreciated.
It's appreciated because that means no more shit like Nickelback. But I mean, it's sort of going in a weird way because it's also unappreciated because that means like music is like artists are going to get paid less and less for their contributions, but I think that it was funny because last night during the American Music Awards,
oh my god,
someone tweeted me a link to this article that was claiming that Miley Cyrus was punk rock as hell, and I was
what?
Like, fuck off, Jesus Christ.
Never in the same sentence. Nope.
Man.
I know, dude.
And it sort of pissed me off.
I mean, like, this is not what the fuck it, like, I'm not, I enjoy punk music. I'm not gonna, like, portray to be this. I'm not a punk, in any meaningful sense of it. But I just know what the fuck punk is, and fuck out of here. It's not, you're wrong.
Yeah.
I just want Miley Cyrus to have this sort of debilitating ankle injury that keeps her from walking for an extended period of time. And during that time, she realized just what sort of a cunt nugget she is. and she just gains about 50 pounds.
That's real.
And maybe she'll have a shape at
That's
that point.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
it's the worst
I
shit
mean,
ever.
she can be built like a fucking. Yep, there's a joke coming and then it stops. But my point is,
The wheels in the brain just stop turning.
they did. Oh, there it goes. Yep. Gotta pick up the slack, guys. Come on, it's why there's 3 of us.
Yeah, Shane, there's 3 of us.
Okay. I think the music industry is just, if you're not a white woman with a sub-average voice, you're getting passed by, because it was just like Rihanna, Miley Cyrus, Katy Perry.
Hey, wait, Rihanna's not white.
I was like, wait a minute.
Okay. She got an Icon Award, like the first ever Icon Award. That's why I brought that up. And I'm like, is she a fucking icon, really?
No.
What's it?
What the fuck?
Well, I mean, like a modern one. I think modern icons are.
But she got the first ever, like before Stevie Wonder or before,
Well,
like,
because
before the Motown.
I don't like. I have no idea what the icon award is, but like I don't know. I'm assuming they like wanted to be relevant, quote unquote.
I think so too. Yeah, you're right.
That sounds
you're
like something the Grammys would do to get people to stop saying that they're a bunch of old, outdated pricks.
Like, I don't know, icon sounds like this is the young people's version.
Yeah. Maybe the word icon is being used too freely.
Like it probably has. It's probably a lowercase I.
The C is uppercase.
Right, exactly.
It's the icon.
Just beating off over the fucking word.
Hey, you know what? The Icon Award. Icon people into thinking.
You shouldn't have said. You should have let him get it. God damn.
You have to describe the joke.
Well,
okay.
you never know. Like, people might not be able to get jokes here. I mean,
Well, you didn't say like they wouldn't get it. You said like it was a law. Like maybe you just can't understand the joke. You'll get fucking. That was weird. So saying that made me think of like dystopian novels, and I felt a strange sense of comfort. But moving swiftly along.
It just the music industry is just like, it feels like it's being rehashed. And like,
hell yeah, yes, it is.
It's just rehashed shit that we've already heard, but let's do a cover of it and let's make it with synthesizers. Like, what the fuck? You did this 20 years ago.
Wait.
And now you're trying to, not that there's anything wrong with it.
Let me say this. Covers have been an essential point of music. Like, I was literally thinking about this 30 minutes ago. Is like, covers have been a quintessential point of music for a very long time, because it was like in the 60s the Beatles got famous for doing covers. Like, that's how the Beatles became the Beatles. They were
the Rolling Stones were a cover band before they were actually
all those like,
and now
European,
the Rolling
British
Stones
blues
are
like the blues didn't start in Europe, so obviously.
And now the Rolling Stones are a cover band of what they used to.
Shit, dude.
Meta covers.
Mick Jagger's hips are covering itself from 50 years ago.
Oh no!
Damn.
Unfortunate image there.
But it's like if that's all it is now. It's just a rehash, and like, because this generation doesn't really have I can't really say that, but like, it's just been like 90s boy bands, and then like I can't describe the music industry as to a T, but it's not been that good, dude.
I mean, I get what you're saying. It's like this generation has nothing that defines itself.
It really doesn't.
Because we've literally been living 90s trends since 99.
Yeah.
Like, we've been living, the post-grunge trend since fucking Creed.
Yeah.
With arms wide open. Yeah, that. And Kryptonite by Three Doors Down. We've been living bands like that for a very long time. I mean, the newest trend of things that happened in rock music as far as, getting popular was maybe the emo trend and maybe the folk revival trend. Which I don't get that because Mumford and Sons are the most boring thing I've ever listened to.
That sounds pretty boring. It's funny you presented that way to make an equivalent, as far as I know, to make an equivalent comparison within metal, like the most recent large, I don't know, like that movement would just be kind of the whole djent thing or the rhythmic 7/8 string guitars kind of progressive music thing, which actually, while a lot of it's very samey, at the same time I like that overall direction, and there's definitely some really dope shit to come out of it. So, but like when you get into like technical metal, it's a little hard to get too shitty.
I mean, it's kind of weird because it's like progressive music hasn't sold since King Crimson's last album, and that was a very long time ago.
That's a good point and a disturbing fucking statement, but word.
And it's like Pink Floyd, when they re-release their albums, like nobody buys it because it's a progressive rock band. People buy it because it's Pink Floyd, and apparently they're good. And you know what? They're in for a surprise when they actually are. But they'll just be like, you know what? The Beatles sound cool. Let me buy Pink Floyd album.
They're from the same time period.
I think like the last stand for rock music as a source of making money has been in video games. Like
that's an interesting point.
But now that Guitar Hero took a shit and died because Activision fuck Activision. God damn it. We have like Rocksmith, and now we're back to Madden soundtracks.
Exactly.
What? It blew my mind that Aces High by Iron Maiden was in Madden 2010. It made no sense, 0 sense at all.
There was just somebody on the project who's like, "Fuck you guys, we're gonna put some fucking rock on this goddamn metal, whatever."
Yeah, it was actually a good soundtrack. Too bad the game was terrible, but it had like Pantera Walk, like
nice. All right.
You know what, Paul? You're a Dragon Ball Z fan, aren't you?
Yeah, I was. And am.
Yeah.
For purposes.
You've seen the Dragon Ball Z Broly movie, right?
Yeah.
Broly's theme is Tens by Pantera.
So, someone, probably you, mentioned that to me, and I was like, dope shit. But I definitely didn't make that connection until it was told to me. That's really fun. It's pretty fucking dope.
That's awesome.
Which instantly makes Broly the most metal character.
Yes,
it
does.
Which says a lot when Dio is a thing.
Word. I haven't seen that either. But
Shane.
Yes.
You know who Dio is, right?
Yes, I fucking know who Dio is. Yeah.
Which Dio am I talking about?
Are you talking about Ronnie James Dio?
No.
Oh. Which Dio are you talking about?
Talking about JoJo's Bizarre.
Oh. Why did you say that? Why didn't you fucking say that shit?
I was lost.
Because I was making sure you were paying attention.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Dio. It's like fucking Dio's awesome.
Fucking Dio, man.
Ronnie Dio's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Rest in
That's what I was, yeah.
God rest his soul. So yeah, but like the music industry is just shit.
It's like, speaking of Dio, I get sentimental whenever I listen to the Tenacious D song. Dio.
Yeah.
Dio has walked for a very long time. Now he must pass the torch. I don't remember the melody right now, so this is all you're getting.
that. I don't know. I've done that like four times, but
exactly.
It's happening. So.
Oh man, this is going well.
That is a way to put it.
But no, I mean, I really think that the last stand for rock as an industry was in uh video games, because now it's like Queens of the Stone Age got a #1 album this year, but they didn't sell that much doing it.
Mm.
It's really like the only music that sells is is pop
Mm-hmm.
and some hip hop. And that's kind of concerning to me because, again, nobody's getting the money they deserve. And, but also money corrupts. So,
Yeah, I think some are getting too much as it is, and I mean across the board. I mean, but of course specifically in the
Steven
more.
Tyler,
No.
Yeah.
and I ain't gonna miss a thing. Yeah.
No.
I know the harmonies to Aerosmith songs because my dad had Aerosmith songs in the car. Like he had,
Just on a loop,
he,
just on a steady fucking loop like that.
yeah, it wasn't even good Aerosmith. It was like Pump. And you know what? As a kid, it was like I only liked that album because of the cover. It was like two cars fucking each other. Yeah.
Okay.
Struggle and strife.
I mean, but you know what? Aerosmith's terrible.
They,
You know
they,
what?
they
You
were
know
good.
what?
They were good in the '70s. They were good in the '70s.
You know what?
But
Hold on. Which bands do you guys think gets a lot of praise for being good but are terrible?
See, I only listen to shit that I like. That's my problem.
that's a good. That's
That's an interesting question. I have to give.
that is an interesting question.
Shane?
Lincoln Park, New Lincoln Park, New
Really,
Lincoln.
I haven't. Who's been like praising them now?
No, like it, like because I
You know
like
what? No,
I
no,
like
no, no, no. Let me answer that. Because whenever like there's a Linkin Park performance on MTV, I'm like Linkin Park is trash, and there's always this like 40-year-old that tweets me like, "Why?" And I'm like,
That's.
sounded like Skeleton. Why?
Hey man, why do you hate Lincoln Park?
Oh shit. I would say Linkin Park is the band that I go to. That's like.
you know what? I already mentioned Mumford and Sons earlier, so I'm not gonna go there. Arcade Fire.
Damn, Corey. Okay. We ain't trying to have no hipster bitches. Okay, Corey. Come on. Let's not have any hipster bitches listen to this. We're just not having any hipster bitches. Okay. Okay, Corey.
No, there's one band that we have left that we haven't talked about. I want to say it because then Corey's gonna just to spite us and scare the hipster bitches away. Actually, I don't get hipster bitches. What I was thinking about
It's
the band was
about hipster bitches, man.
it's just fucking damn it, Shane. Anyway, but fucking damn, I forgot.
Hipster bitches like dye their hair brunette because everybody goes blonde, and then they wear the glasses with no frames in it and the fedora. Just like, how many of those people will ever listen to this show?
None.
Right, that's actually the more important point. Right? Shouting at the deaf and shit.
Exactly. God damn it, Corey! Why did you say that? Now Barack Obama will never like our podcast.
No, that's real though.
So-
Like we're not gonna lose any our hipster bitch fan base as a result of.
Who are you gonna say?
Oh, I think Arctic Monkeys, but I actually haven't
Oh,
listened to a lot of their stuff. They've been suggested to me, a
What
lot.
did you say?
And, like
What did you say?
Arctic Monkeys,
okay,
and
let
like
me see
I've
this.
listened to stuff and it was like, this isn't trash, but I wasn't like drawn to it.
Which album did you listen to? Because
I
there's
think
really
it's
good
still-
albums and then there's really bad albums. So
Someone told me like their first one was really kind of punky, and I haven't listened to it. Do I have? Oh, maybe I don't think I have it anymore. I don't know. I mean, look. Let me see if I can find the names and the recognized one.
Because, I mean, if it was like Humbug, I can agree.
I don't. Was it that? That might have. I don't know. Let me see here. 1 second.
You know what? Let me say this about Arctic Monkeys. Everybody loves AM. I think that AM is great, has very great singles.
I think I was it whatever people say? No.
Meanwhile, on Metal for Brains,
It might have been AM.
alright, I'll say this about AM. It has a lot of songs that sound like each other. I mean, you're always gonna have one song that sounds alike because it's the same band as the song before. It's not a compilation album of like this song. Up next on the Arctic Monkeys AM album, Alice in Chains. Like that's not gonna happen. But I mean, it does have like it has. It's one of those albums where like it has the same three songs in a loop, but it's like I respect where they're going with it. I really like I said, I really like their singles. Um, but as an album, I just don't think it's that great.
The way you said I respect where they're going with it is a good way to put how I felt about everything I heard from them. I mean, again, I didn't listen to any album from start to finish. I think I've heard like 6 or 7 songs in total, of everything they've ever done. So, I'm obviously not like super well versed, but everything was like, I got through the song, like I don't remember it. You know what I'm saying? It didn't like stay with me for any reason.
Mhm.
So I mean, you're saying like people like your thing was like bands that people think are great and think are trash. Like that's an exaggeration, but I've gotten a lot of suggestions, and then I was like, they're cool, but
You know what? I'm gonna say
You weren't
this to
blown
make.
away by them, yeah.
yeah.
I'm gonna say this to make Shane very very angry. New
Uh-oh.
Radiohead. Oh God, he's transforming. He's in Frieza's second form now.
You motherfucker. No, I'm just kidding. No, like I said, like last week, like I listened to their first 3 albums, but I haven't really listened to like their older stuff, their newer stuffs to be like, yeah, they suck. They suck now. But I love their first 3 albums, but I haven't listened to their newer shit. Like Lotus Flower sounded like I didn't really.
Like the newest Radiohead song that I like is Body Snatchers. I mean, but besides that, I mean, I like up the Paranoid Android.
Yeah,
Everybody loves Kid A except me. Because I mean, I like everything before that. I mean, it's Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. Once again, very professional. I'm watching wrestling right now. Very
They
professional.
They came out of nowhere. What the fuck?
Hey, wait, let's not have this be
Yeah.
wrestling commentary because Shane
You're
and
right.
I are recording that later.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
But you know what? I mean, I love.
But I haven't really listened to new Radiohead that much to say that they suck. But I've listened to older Radiohead to say that they.
I'm not gonna say that they suck.
Phenomenal.
I think that their music has turned into a musical representation of Tom York having a seizure.
That's kind of fucked up.
Damn. I need to listen to newer Radiohead to
It's
give
just
a opinion on it.
Tom York needs more music to go over.
I like that song, man.
Which song? All of the songs? He does that all.
What came to mind for me was
Well, we're losing Paul. That's a sign that we should probably end the podcast soon. Yeah, we're totally losing Paul.
Uh-oh.
I hear you. I like it's not disconnected.
Listen to the Matrix.
Yeah, but actually, that just made me look at the time. We should probably end this.
Okay.
Thank you guys for listening through the Scott Reeder interview to hear us just incoherently babble.
Right.
I got a new guitar. That's really cool. So there you go.
I still have to play
I'm
on
gonna
Paper's
play a
drum
song for you
set.
guys. I'm gonna do a thing. You keep talking. I'm just gonna like.
Okay.
It's gonna be quiet.
But no, we'll see you guys in another 2 weeks, and hopefully we'll be more organized.
Yes.